Hey guys, it's Metal Bum here, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about war, about the military, about all sorts of stuff. First off, I'm sure you guys saw this. Trump literally met the other day with Korean leader Kim Jong-il. This is North Korea, of course. And by the way, before that, there was this other thing going on with India and Pakistan, and you know that there's nuclear. They're armed. Pakistan, India, they're armed and ready to go. Basically, there was a confrontation over this captured Indian pilot, and luckily he was released. And there's little events that can spur into a world war, and I don't want to fearmonger anything yet. I actually just wanted to show you guys my military coins, but here's a Korean one. I kind of dig that one with the little trooper right there. But I did want to talk about World War II a little bit, like the history, like why it happened, how it happened. Long story short, and I kind of want to keep this short, is there's all these interlocking, and like there's allies, and you know there's never one trigger. So like there's supply demand, but then in investing, there's so many other things. Like for instance, World War II was not, a lot of people go back to this trigger, which was this Austrian-Hungarian leader, Ferdinand of Austria. He was the one who got assassinated, and then that brought Germany and Russia into a war, and the Serbians and all sorts of stuff. That area had a lot of conflict. But basically, these little events are intertwined in all sorts of things. There's the Middle East unrest. Iran has nuclear weapons. You know, Pakistan, like I was talking about before, versus India. And then there's these like allies, and everything's like intertwined. Like for instance, like with North Korea, this is why this actually was a very scary meeting for me, because I don't know what this loose cannon or this loose cannon will do during a meeting like this, and really like anything can happen. This could be a trigger of a war. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we stack. But let me get back to the point of World War II had a lot of different things going on. There was actually a split of Poland after World War I, and then there was like a major depression in 1929. World War I, I think, ended in the 20s. Then there was a boom, and then a total bust in 29, which was like a stock market crash in the USA. But that triggered this like there was like a Spanish Civil War. There's all sorts of stuff going on, and like different allies. I mean, like there's just like with Syria, there's like the Russians and the Americans in the West and the East, and you know with Korea, there's you know, China's on this guy's side versus South Korea on this guy's side, and then that could trigger into something big too. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit, and how things can get ugly really fast. But yeah, so in World War I, there was the split of Poland, and that was one of the main reasons like Hitler came back. And there was 1923, there was like hyperinflation, which a lot of people talk about with silver, and this is a little constitutional silver here. Story short, Hitler ends up invading Poland. You know, this trigger, which was the Austrian-Hungarian, Ferdinand got assassinated, and it just, all this conflict, like this could have happened during the Cold War. That could have led to World War III. So you just never know. Even if it's a 1% chance, there's nothing wrong with holding physical silver. And I want to talk about this. This is the beautiful ASE. And do you notice he's holding arrows there? That represents war, and that America's always ready for it, but we do prefer peace. But like take a close look at that seal of the U.S. I love these sorts of seals and family crests and royal crests and things like that because of the symbolism behind them. But that shows our defense right there. and that we're always ready, if necessary, for war, but we will embrace peace first. But yeah, look at the luster on that thing. So anyways, guys, I just want to say always be ready. Do a little brief overview of these. The West Point, and this shows, you know, this is always a part of America, whether we like it or not and acknowledge it or not. Like, you know, it shows I guess that's a symbol for West Point. And again, there you see the seal, but this time, this is a Morgan dollar. And you see that the arrows representing the war and the olive branch representing the peace. Again, you have this is a USO commemorative, military again. It's like, just don't mess with us. Yeah, we prefer peace, but we call it defense for a reason. Here's, you know, like the first president was actually the general after, you know, the Revolutionary War against Britain. But, you know, like, I think everybody prefers peace, and like, I really think that even though I say there's a likelihood there could be a war with, like, for instance, China due to this whole debacle, and you know, you never know, because something like this, which was the Korean War, was actually China versus the US. It wasn't really, I mean, there was North and South Korea, but like China was the one helping the North Korea, and we were helping South Korea. Here's General Eisenhower, who was loved as a general during World War II, which was more of a, you know, the Great War. Like, I think like 10 million people died during World War II. So at all costs, avoid war. But if the war is necessary, then, you know, people have to defend themselves. But anyways, guys, I'm definitely not a warmonger. I just kind of dig the military, and I think history of wars and history of military is interesting. But yeah, it's just also interesting how like something like the 1929 stock crash in the US can go over to, you know, it can go over to like Germany during World War II. And Germany had hyperinflation, and everybody knows about that story, how like their Deutsch, whatever the heck you call them, went to zero almost. And you know, that's what can happen during a depression, during hyperinflation, all sorts of things, like when governments start printing money. But it all interrelates: economics, psychology, trade, war, all that stuff. So that's why I get a little nervous when I see these sorts of possible triggers that can lead to armed conflict. We want to avoid that as much as possible, but always be ready. Okay? Anyways, guys, Mittelbaum out.